Okay, today we're going to show you guys how to protect a Robellini or a pygmy date palm, known by either name, from cold and freezing temperatures. Wonderful palm trees, great tropical look, tend to stay pretty small, so people love them, very widely used in our climate. However, they are susceptible to damage at temperatures of freezing or below. And so there's some fairly easy techniques that we can show you today to try to protect your prized trees from such cold damage. We only need a couple of different tools. First, we have a pair of palm gloves. So these are thicker gloves that will prevent the thorns on the palm tree from sticking you in the fingers or hands. We have some rope, twine. You don't have to use this. This is sisal rope. You could use, you could maybe even use a zip tie, but you could use any type of rope or twine that you might have in your garage. Small knife just to be able to cut the material and cut the rope that we're working with. And then I have here some commercial grade weed mat, and this is what we're going to use to wrap and protect the bud or the most cold sensitive part of the tree. We sell this at Liberty Landscape Supply. You can use any weed mat, or you could use a sheet or any cloth that you might have. You just don't want to use plastic. So it needs to be something that is cloth or soft or fibrous in nature. So this here is a Robellini or a pygmy date palm, and this is probably of about average size for our climate. It has 3 different stems. The part of the tree that we want to protect the most is here in the middle. It's the bud. The bud is where all the new growth is coming out of, and if we're able to save the bud, then even if some of the leaves turn brown, the tree will come back and it will flourish again next year. The trunk and the root ball are less important. The bud in this center area is the most important. So next we'll show you how we're going to do this. Okay, the idea is that we are able to create a system here that someone can do by themselves, although it is always helpful to have an extra person with you, but this method can be done by yourself. So I've taken my rope, my sisal rope here, and I've tied a loop in the end and just made a simple knot. Okay, so I'm going to go around this first trunk, and I'm going to run the end of the rope through the loop on the other end. After I put my gloves on. So I run the rope through my loop, and I'm going to work this rope up into the bud area of the tree. Until I can get it to a position where I can cinch it. There's a lot of thorns at the bottom of these fronds, and that's why we want the gloves. As you can see now, we've gotten the tree to where we're going to get it tied up. Okay? So I was able to do that by myself relatively easily. I call this sort of a ponytail type of an effect with the tree, where the fronds are all in a little bit more control. We're just going to take the rope, wrap it around one more time, and then tie it off either to a branch or back to the rope itself. Okay, and it doesn't need to be anything crazy. Now if you want, you can cut off the end of your rope. I'm going to leave mine long just so in the event I need to use the rope for something else, I can use it for something else. Next is I'm going to take my piece of commercial weed mat, and this is just a square. It's probably, well, I know it's 5 feet wide, and it's probably, let's say 6 feet long or so. And I'm going to use this to wrap around the most sensitive part of the tree. which is again the bud, and that's this area here. Before I do that, I'm going to cut another piece of rope, a smaller piece. Okay. So I've got my weed mat here. Take it and I'm going to wrap it around the tree. It's a little tricky to do by yourself, but it's very normal that no one wants to come out in the cold weather and help you do this. So the nice thing about this commercial weed fabric is it just kind of sort of sticks to itself a little bit, and then you've got some of the thorns that are in the palm tree will actually catch it and kind of hold it in place so you can have a degree of success doing this by yourself. I'm going to grab one of the pieces of rope that I cut. I'm actually going to tie another loop in the end like I did with the other one. A simple knot in the end, nothing fancy. Okay. And again, you'll find that it stays in place pretty well on its own, so you don't need to put a big fancy knot in here, just enough to kind of hold it. Sometimes with cold weather we also get a bunch of wind, so if you have a windy cold weather type of a day, you want to make sure that that you tie it tight enough. I don't know that we're expecting too much wind over the next couple of days. Same thing again, just tie a little loop in the end. Okay, so now what I've done is I've protected the most cold sensitive part of this tree. This weed cloth will keep the heat inside. We've cinched it at the bottom, we've cinched it at the top. Now, this is a little bit bigger of a Robellini than probably a lot of people have in their yards, or pygmy date palm. Because of that, the fabric doesn't stretch all the way up over the top. And if it's very cold, we could still get some browning on the ends of these leaves, which is okay. The tree's still gonna be fine, but we may end up trimming the browning off depending on how cold it actually gets. As long as it doesn't get too cold too long, this should keep the tree alive, should save the tree. Now we're gonna do this with the other two trunks, and then we'll be done.